All right, let's get everybody here. My God, Ukraine fanboys. Russian tank losses midpoint of 3 month average by type data from warspotted.it. Okay, I need to before I get more people before I start get more people in here. I need to just give me a moment. Let's get everybody here. Pin it to the profile. And yes, folks. Hi, everybody. Oh, audio's low. Let me try to increase it in decibels. Is that better now? I hope it's better. I should probably share this in the calibrated stream too. Yeah, just give me a moment, people. A bit higher. Okay. How's that? Okay. Um Yeah, today we're just rambling. I'm just yapping today. I took a bit of a break from fucking making proper videos because nothing's been going on, but it appears that's probably going to change soon, maybe this weekend. And yeah, I'll probably be back to posting vids starting this Sunday. So I need to okay, I'm trying to just give me a moment here while I yeah, now I posted it in the calibrated chat because I'm looking to get as many people as possible for this stream. But yeah, so today this will be the first ever rambling stream. Basically, I constantly yap about whatever's on my mind. Like it can be literally anything. But as you can tell, we're mostly going to talk about Ukraine. Though I will also talk about war in Sudan too. And the chaos that's also happening just south of it. Like it's getting pretty interesting in Africa again. I mean, Africa's always interesting. There's always like a new war to wow over. But yeah. Now, okay, so to make these series of streams more interactive, I'm going to actually permit the chat to submit articles, submit all sorts of stuff so we can talk about it. It's to increase engagement between myself and the viewers. I mean, anyone's allowed to come in here, not just subscribers. Literally anybody's allowed to come in here, even trolls. Well, as long as the trolls are being funny, that is. But if you go a little too far with things, then yeah, you're gonna get banned. I mean, just be funny, just be interactive, be productive. I mean, I don't care really. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about the situation on the ground, but also talk about, I guess, news relating um, to global conflicts. Oh, what's this? You know what? I might as well also just give me a moment, folks. Let's see here. Intel fucking Slava. You know, Intel Slava, many people tend to criticize him, but he's just like repasting news like you like always sort of like see often. Oh, what's this? The new draft agreement between the US and Ukraine on fossil fuels implies the return of all American aid by Kiev, Ukraine media right, or Kyiv. It is claimed that the document crosses almost all the red lines previously agreed upon for this project. The most important thing is that the large agreement provides for Ukraine's obligations to compensate the US for the cost of all aid. Budgetary, military, humanitarian, and so on. Such assistance must be calculated and written down when signing the document, and this amounts to hundreds of billions of dollars. In addition, the project contradicts Ukraine's future membership in the European Union. Ouch. They're getting robbed. Oh, what's this? Dude, follow me? Oh, what's up? I think I see him. I think yeah, he's in like my Discord, which is the basement, by the way. It's an edgy Discord. If you're like weak-hearted or something, I don't recommend going there, but if you think you can handle it, then yeah, absolutely go to the Discord if you want. And speaking of which, I have reopened the Discord now to public like access, so anyone can go there now. Let's see what chat is saying. Yeah, that's right. The bot got humiliated again, so he is co-posting about airstrikes in Yemen. Okay, first of all, speaking of Yemen, has anyone seen what fucking Jackson Hinkle's been up to over there? He's like literally getting top access to the Houthi leadership, and the next day or so, a lot of that leadership is now gone. People literally fucking think he's a Fed. I mean, look, listen, I'm kind of conflicted, guys. Do you think this man is a Fed or a grifter? Like, take your pick. Is he a Fed or a grifter? Because I'm not convinced this Jackson Hinkle guy is... Something is not right about him. Something screams Fed to me. In fact, DPA posted about it. In fact, I'll load it up in a moment. If I can find it. Here it is. Just give me a moment while I prepare the audio. Because this is unbelievable. I never imagined we'd see an American speaking at a Houthi rally, of all places.
More than anyone else. أمريكا والصهيونية والصهاينة يخافون اليمن. Because the people of Yemen fear nobody but God. لأن اليمنيين لا يخشون شيئا إلا الله.
Sorry if it's cutting out. It's my fault.
It is Quds Day, and I could think of nowhere else I would rather be than with the free people of Yemen. وأتشرف وأفخر بأن أكون في يوم القدس
هنا في اليمن بجانبكم.
As the United States drops bombs on the people of Yemen and Gaza,
في حين أن الولايات الأمريكية تقصفكم وترمي عليكم بالقنابل والقذائف.
we know that the U.S. and the Zionist entity is waging a war against God.
ونعرف بأن أمريكا والصهيونية زائلة وزائلة.
And we know that anyone who wages a war against God will never be successful.
لأنهم يشنون حربا وفي وجه الله فهم الخاسرون.
Allahu Akbar. Mount America, Mount Israel, Red Harun, and Nelson Islam.
Thank you for having me here.
أشكر استقبالكم لي هنا معكم اليوم في هذه اللحظات.
And inshallah one day we will meet in a free Palestine.
Inshallah.
إن شاء الله يوما ما في فلسطين.
Allahu Akbar. Mount America, Mount Israel, and Red Harun, and Nelson Islam. Again, there's no way that this guy is okay, I don't know how long the stream will last. Again, this is just a rambling stream. But seriously, but yeah, I do know their infamous chant. I mean, I literally know everything. Because the war in Yemen has been going on for the past, 11 years now. It started in 2014. I was actually a freshman in high school at that time. The Houthis just randomly popped out of nowhere, and they couped the government of Hadi. They threw him out. I think at first they forced him to Aden, and then they forced him to Saudi Arabia. And then the opposition to the Houthis has sort of become fractured between the former government of Hadi and then these southern separatists. And then what happened was the fight against the Houthis then turned into a international war between USA and Iran. And so far the Houthis have been able to hold their ground against the US-backed coalition in Yemen. During Donald Trump's first presidency, he was not able to deliver any sort of decisive punches to the Houthis at all. During Barack Obama's final years between 2014 and 17, well, January 17, that is, at first coalition was looking okay, but then Houthis basically then dealt a lot of blows through some counteroffensives and shit, like in this area, I think, here. And then, they were never able to gain any ground on the Houthis ever again. They did try to take Hodeidah and were actually on the outskirts, but then there was a ceasefire put in place, and then this area, sort of remained stagnated as it was. But then, years later, the Houthis then ended up actually booting out the coalition from the outskirts of Hodeidah, and they actually almost got close to the city of Mocha, believe it or not. This is, by the way, where, the drink, coffee or something was created. But then, right after the attempted assault on Marib, the Houthis were then stopped. They were bogged down. And then an agreement was signed between the Houthis and the U.S.-backed, fighters. And also, Saudi Arabia directly intervened in this war, and it was a complete disaster for them. They got raped. They exposed that American vehicles will not help you in a war if your army is hilariously incompetent. And Saudi Arabia, just like any other Arab army, sucks ass. They can't get shit done in any way. They just can't. I wouldn't be surprised, as I said, if Jackson Hinkle was responsible in a way for the deaths of all those Houthi guys. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if that were the case at all. And also, don't forget, northern Yemen is also very mountainous. It's very rugged. Like, everything here, like, I'm like you're seeing on this map, like, everything here is all, like, mountainous and rugged. There's just no way in hell that any army can get through that shit. The reason why Bashar al-Assad's regime collapsed so easily as it did, like, part of the reason why that is, was because Syria, for the most part, is flat. It's only, like, on the far western parts where it does get a little rough, but other than that, though, it's a pretty flat country. Nothing more than just sand and, I don't know, maybe a few rivers here and there, but it's not really anything special. In fact, that's why throughout the Syrian war, we've seen so many big aerial offensives, because of the fact that the terrain is like, it literally allows shit to be so fluid. And also, don't be too surprised if the Houthis learn from the Syrian army's mistakes and they actually set up proper defenses outside of their strongholds, like Sana'a, for instance. The Syrian army had 4 or 5 years to set up defenses outside of Aleppo, and they didn't do that. They literally screwed up in the worst way imaginable, and when the time came, the rebels not only marched on Aleppo, like they easily took it in a WoW offensive, but then they easily steamrolled the whole country. Hama, Homs, Damascus, Latakia, Tartus. It was criminally too easy for them. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was some backroom deal that ended up resulting in Bashar al-Assad's overthrow. I think it was Russia and Turkey. Russia probably realized that this war wasn't worth dealing with anymore, so they just said, all right, he's on his own. Bye. And then Iran was also preoccupied too. Like, Iran's going through a crisis at the moment, like, economically. And with the loss of Assad, it only makes things far worse for them. So there's no way they could have sustained that effort in Syria. It was just not possible. So, anyway, we're going to talk about Ukraine, because why the hell not? It's the main topic. So, I'm reading reports that Russia has seized more villages within the Sumy region. I'll scroll over. Now, take it with a grain of salt, but apparently I've read somewhere, like, I think it was Divgen map or Sofa General stuff, that Vysalivka has been seized by the Russians in Sumy. And I also heard reports Russians are also trying to establish a greater bridgehead here. And once they do that, then the whole, like, Sumy, like, offensive, like, the whole Sumy front then becomes united. And then also, by the way, another thing to mention is that there's also reports that Basovka is now under complete Russian control. They booted out the armed forces of Ukraine from this area. And the Russians have also, for the most part, cleared out the Kursk pocket that was mostly centered in Suja. And as Scott of Calibrated says, there's now more Russian territory in Sumy region than there is in Kursk. I think only like a couple or so villages are under complete Ukrainian control at this point, which is Gornal and the village of Ulishna. And then after that, you're in Sumy. What I think is going to happen here is the Russians are probably going to take these last 2 villages, and then they'll just keep pushing into Sumy region. I heard they're really putting up a tough fight right now, but it's not looking good for the Ukrainians overall. They're getting completely wrecked. let's see here. I'll see what chat is saying. Okay, nothing. So what I think is gonna happen is they're gonna push into Sumi, like from this direction here, and they're gonna try to build some sort of buffer zone. But the recent things that Vladimir Putin has said today have sort of like suggested that may not be the case. So what I think will end up happening now is, I mean, look, I don't think the Russians are going to do a big air assault into Sumy region. That's just not going to happen. In fact, big air assaults now are all but extinct in Ukraine for the most part. And I don't think we're going to see another big aero like WoW offensive until the very end of the war. Like if, for instance, if Ukraine was on the brink of collapse or if Russia was on the brink of collapse, then you'll see a WoW offensive like we did in 2022. But otherwise, it's not going to happen. Not until one side or the other is completely broken, like too exhausted from the past 3 years of nonstop fighting. I also heard today that there was a big exchange of corpses between the armed forces of Ukraine and the Russian army. And what I heard is that over like 900 or so Ukrainians were like returned from the Kursk region. In fact, let me look it up right now. Let's see here. Oh, I think Divjin posted a new update that's like map related, by the way. I don't know what the hell's going on in Touretsk, by the way. That shit is weird. That is really strange. Will you do another tier list in 2025 for the pro-Russian, pro-Ukraine YouTubers and influence from 2023 and 2024? This always has been your premium content. Maybe if there's enough demand for it. I don't see a reason to make another video like that. I also don't feel the desire to, but hey, if people really are asking me to do it again, then yeah, I'll do a third like video on like pro-Ukraine influencers. And I do think they're getting a lot worse as of recent because of Donald Trump's endless like humiliation of Zelensky. Let's see here. Oh my God. So apparently there was an exchange of bodies that has occurred. 43 have returned to the Russians. So 43 Russians have died, at least confirmed. 909 bodies returned to Ukraine. Wow. What's the ratio? Can anyone like do a math on it? Like 909 to like 43 deceased. What's the ratio? God bless Donbas offensives. Yeah. I mean, it's always been their bread and butter. It's the best logistics-wise. Oh, I'm hearing of big airstrikes on Yemen by USA. Damn. They must be going. They're really mad at them. I think it's over the shit in the Red Sea mainly, not really because of Gaza. It's definitely because of Red Sea shipping that they blocked off. But is this going to stop them? Hell no, it won't. And the Houthis are a big family too, so even if you kill the leader, some other dude's just going to take his place. They are not going to enter Sumy. Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, if you're talking about the city, then yeah, they're definitely not going to enter it. I don't think so. I think realistically, they're going to try to do a defense barrier, like that's like here, like basically everything outside of this dense forested area. Because this forested area is a complete nightmare. Like, I don't see how Russians can enter it without sustaining a lot of heavy losses. Or maybe they can just go around it and enter Sumi, but again, I don't know. I don't think they're going to do that. But if they really want to cause logistical problems, then Russians should try to maybe like cut off this road here. But again, I don't think they're going to do that. I just don't. I don't see a need unless they really want to look to annex Sumi into Russia itself, which they could do, by the way, if they actually wanted. But it's going to cost them a lot of lives and equipment. But what I see them doing is they're going to do sort of like a 2024 Kharkov offensive where they'll penetrate a little deep, but they're not going to take too much of it. So maybe like 10 to like 20% of Sumi, and then they'll just stop there and then just use it as a bait, like a Venus flytrap for Ukrainian troops. Because we all know that the Kiev regime is stupid. We know that they're ran by complete nincompoops. They're all about ego. They're all about good public reception. And if it's not going their way, they're going to get desperate, and then they're going to do all sorts of stupid shit. But yeah, it appears the Russians have actually now solidified themselves in Sumi. So, yeah, they're in really good condition right now, if you ask me. At least for now. I don't know how long it will last. Liman. Oh, God, Liman. I hate that place so much. So, here's the thing. Right now, what I'm hearing is Russians have been making a lot of gains in this sector. They have caused actually some sort of a collapse of Ukrainian defenses in this area, and it appears they're now outside of the villages of Kanornivka and Nove. And if they take these two, then honestly, nothing will happen, because nothing ever happens in this war. But they do need to take Zarichne and Torske in order to start an offensive on Liman. And if they were to ever retake the city of Liman, then Siversky is wide open, and then also Solyansk too. I think for them to even consider a full-blown assault on Slavyansk-Kramatorsk, they not only got to take Chazov Yar, but they got to lock up Toretsk, which is still being contested as of today. And by the way, a lot of people were roasting Deep State UA for being way too nice to the AFU, but the thing, though, is it turned out they were the most accurate on Toretsk. Like, no joke, they were. Toretsk was never under full Russian control. The situation there was always fluid and dynamic. It was never completely locked up by the Russians. It's not an opinion of mine. That was just the reality. They never colored everything in favor of Russia in Toretsk. And also, Chazov Yar was mostly under Russian control, though they still have not yet taken full, complete control of the commie blocks yet, but as soon as they do that, then the battle's over for Chazov Yar. But most of the town has already fallen. And then once they get Chazov Yar, then the high ground is theirs in that area, and then Slavyansk-Kramatorsk will then be within firing range of Russian artillery weapons. And then don't forget Konstantinivka too, which itself is a massive bastion of Ukrainian defense there. But it's on low ground area. It's not on high ground. It's low ground. And also, speaking of which, since the Russians are advancing in this direction here, they're definitely going to try to enter, I think, the Kharkiv region here. There's definitely an offensive ongoing for Borova, but it seems Ukrainians are really trying to prevent the Russians from doing that because they launched a counteroffensive in this area, like a small-scale counteroffensive. They're trying to retake the villages of Kopenki and Stepi from the Russians. And they also reportedly retook the village of Nadia, but I don't know. This area here, again, is also really dynamic. It's fluid. It can go anyone's way. Russians have also reportedly advanced in the area like north of Stepova Novoselivka, which is on the way to Kupiansk city itself. And Ukrainians have tried to contest for Sinkovka, but they have not been able to establish a complete breakthrough there. And it's very difficult because of all these dense forest areas. And there's now reports, by the way, speculating that Krasny Persh or Krasny 1 has been captured by the Russians. And I think Suryak is going to color it later today, or at least, no, he's going to update it, like when he does his Telegram post. But he already has it like under Russian control. This whole bridgehead, by the way, is a nightmare for the Ukrainians. By the way, this whole bridgehead in the Kharkiv region is a really big problem that I don't think they're going to get under control at this point. I think it's way too far gone now for them. The Russians are definitely planning an offensive in the Kharkov region in 2025, like a massive one. But I don't think it's... I don't know. But anyway, let's see what chat's also saying here. What we're going to see from this war will be more of the same in 2025. Skirmishes on the whole 2,000 square kilometer long front line. 2024 was with the big skirmishes of the majority of the front line. Yeah, maybe. But I don't know. It feels different this time. Because it's clear that Ukrainian aid is from the United States might be dying out this year. I mean, whatever is left from the Biden era is going to be wasted on. Like this year. And then after that, it will end. There will be no more aid to Ukraine from the United States. And then they're just going to put all their eggs in the EU basket. That's what they're going to do. In fact, Zelensky himself has even made it very clear that he's ready for full-on backing from EU. It almost sounds like he no longer expects the United States to come to his rescue. Like he knows. He's cooked. But he wants to keep the show going because he wants to make money. So, next, which is a pro-Ukraine source, and it's one of the biggest fake news outlets on the whole X platform or Twitter. That's it. The U.S. will stop providing free aid to Ukraine. Vladimir Zelensky, as he would say in Russian, also admitted that Ukraine will never approve any debt for previously supplied military assistance. However, the question of paying for the potential new aid packages from the United States may be considered. So no more blank checks to Ukraine. No more. It's over. They're done. Again, people submit I don't know, links, articles, whatever for me to read. I don't care, honestly. I mean, it's a rambling stream. Oh yeah, US is getting more hawkish on Greenland. Because I'm reading my Twitter timeline, by the way. It's pretty interesting stuff. He will not recognize U.S. military aid as loans. Oh, here it is. This is the full thing that he said. I'll get it loaded, by the way. Oh, military summary is starting up his video? Oh, that was bad timing. I'll go watch that later when I'm done with this stream, But yeah, this is the Kharkiv region. Nothing, by the way, has happened much in Volchansk, by the way, except for the Russians retaking ground in this area. But otherwise, northern Kharkiv region is on hold for now. Let's see here. But apparently, let's see. Lord Bebo posted the statement by Zelensky in English. Here it is. Let's see what Z has to say for himself. This should be interesting.
Якісь ті чи інші ризикові речі для нас, то безумовно я буду все це комунікувати без будь-яких секретів з нашим суспільством. В принципі, я вважаю, що головні базисні речі компромісні були окреслені в рамковій угоді на що ми готові були йти. І тому базуватись будемо на зрозумілих речах, про що ми говорили, там, де ми бачимо можливість побудувати правильні партнерські відносини. Якщо питання боргів, тощо, я це говорив, я не знаю, як всі, я чесно не знаю, але якщо піднімається там це питання, так...
We're not shutting down relations with them. If anything, they're looking to overhaul it. Like, they're gonna start treating us more like an enemy now. Or a frenemy, that is. Rather than a full-blown ally. Because we're trying to, like, occupy them as a whole.
Ми не будемо сприймати борги, як я і казав, це для мене там зрозумілі абсолютно речі, я їх не бачу. Принаймні ми говоримо про минуле. Якщо, знов-таки я повторюсь, якщо буде матись на увазі якісь перспективи, нова підтримка, нові пакети підтримки, і тоді Сполучені Штати Америки, напевне, можуть ставити ті чи інші умови, розуміючи, що безкоштовно ця команда нам нічого не буде.
This administration will not do anything free for us.
Ця команда нам нічого робити не буде. Це вони офіційно говорять. Також домовилися з партнерами деяких країн, не буду уточнювати зараз, про розширення, це ініціатива саме європейська, розширення доступу України до розвідданих, до доступу до відповідних технологій, супутників, які мають наші європейські колеги. Далі ми домовились з деякими лідерами щодо нашого українського доступу.
You can't survive without America, man. You cannot survive without America.
Ми домовились про ліцензії на виробництво протиповітряної оборони, а також працювати будемо над ліцензіями для деяких видів артилерії. Ми домовились про інвестиції в виробництво українських дронів і ракет.
Oh my god. He is so cooked. He is so cooked. Let's see what he also posted today. Oh yeah, so yeah, crazy stuff like AFD. Oh yeah, Greenland, because everyone's talking about Greenland. Oh, Johnny Somali getting punched by some random Korean dude in Seoul. I mean, this guy, by the way, is not allowed to leave. He can't leave. I think they're planning on actually permanently like imprisoning him because he broke all their rules.
W stream, are you guys enjoying the stream today? Whoa! Whoa!
Ah, get wrecked, dude.
You should have been.
Get wrecked. And this is him, Trump talking about Greenland.
Need Greenland, very importantly, for international security. We have to have Greenland. It's not a question of, do you think we can do without it? We can't.
This is a way of talking. We need Greenland. We need it very, very badly.
If you look at Greenland right now, if you look at the waterways, you have Chinese and
Russian ships
all
all over the place.
And we're not going to be able to do that. We're not relying on Denmark or anybody else to take care of that situation.
I mean, that's true, honestly. Yeah, just throw him to Kim Jong-un. Yeah, he'll take care of him, for sure. He'll definitely pacify him. He could definitely do that for us. For sure.
Comrades.
Okay, this is Vladimir Putin like during like some like nuclear submarine like visit or what? I'll load it up in a moment.
Comrade Supreme Commander-in-Chief, Commander of the Combat Communications Unit, Captain 3rd Rank Frolov. The tasks we submariners are carrying out are of great importance for the security of the state.
I don't like this. Like, just have it in English subtitles. There's like no point.
For all of us and for the country as a whole, is achieving the goals of the special military operation. Could you give your assessment of the current events and the progress of the special military operation?
Да.
Of course. I will be brief.
Like the English
We are
dub is like
gradually,
on
not as quickly as
one
some would
ear,
like, but nevertheless,
on the other is Putin's real
persistently
voice.
and confidently moving toward achieving all the goals declared at the beginning of the operation. But I would like to start with something else. I would like to say that we were not the authors or initiators of the start of hostilities. They began after the coup in Ukraine in 2014, which was
2014.
supported by Western countries.
Yeah, like Germany,
And
Britain,
after that,
France,
hostilities effectively began in southeastern Ukraine.
Donbas. Yeah, Donetsk and
For
Lugansk.
8 years, we tried to resolve these issues and problems by peaceful means. We were forced to take Crimea and the people of Crimea and Sevastopol under protection. And for a very long time, we persistently sought to resolve the issues related to Donbass and Luhansk by peaceful means.
It's Lugansk, not Luhansk
As it
anymore.
later became clear, everyone knows this well now. Both the Ukrainian authorities and their Western handlers were, in essence, leading us by the nose, unfortunately.
What are they serving in that submarine? Those snacks look good, by the way. I should say. Oh, he backed
Former
away his
leaders
coffee.
who were in charge of some leading Western countries at the time, in particular, former French President Hollande and Mrs. Merkel, the former Chancellor
She
of
gone,
Germany,
by the way, long
directly
gone.
stated, publicly and without hesitation, that they needed the Minsk agreements only to rearm the Ukrainian regime and prepare it for military actions against us. But for 8 years, the people living in the territories of Donbass, Luhansk, and Donetsk were subjected to nothing short of genocide in the literal sense of the word. The Western handlers of the Ukrainian regime preferred not to notice this. This forced us to attempt, by military means, to put an end to the war that began in 2014. We did not start it. Even, by the way, when the armed conflict entered such an intense phase in 2022, we still proposed resolving all issues by peaceful means.
Yeah, like Istanbul. But that didn't work.
Moreover, as I have said many times before, we actually reached an agreement with Ukraine when negotiations were taking place in Istanbul. By the way, we also agreed on issues that are now often raised and considered impossible to resolve, on denazification and demilitarization. We essentially agreed on these issues as well. Everything was written down in the draft of that document. A summary of this document was initialed by the head of the Ukrainian negotiating team.
So they had a
They
breakthrough,
initialed
and
it,
then it
they
fell apart
signed
because
it,
of Boris
which means
Johnson.
Everything was acceptable.
Fucking fat fuck.
Then, this
bozo.
is also well known, their handlers from Europe arrived, particularly from the United Kingdom.
Uh-oh.
Former
Uh-oh.
Prime Minister Mr. Johnson
Oh.
convinced the Ukrainian leadership that they needed to continue armed struggle to the last Ukrainian, essentially, in order to inflict a strategic defeat on Russia.
This is delusional.
Apparently, he forgot that there are units like yours, that there are assets like your submarine. He either forgot or simply does not fully understand what the Russian people are, what is in our people's hearts and souls when it comes to the security of the motherland. As for what is happening today, it is basically clear as well. Along the entire line of combat contact, our forces hold the strategic initiative. Not long ago, I said, we will press them, and there is reason to believe that we will defeat them. I think that what needs to happen is for the Ukrainian people themselves to become aware of what is going on. The fact is that our armed forces are gaining momentum and acting more and more effectively. This can also be described by a direct participant in combat operations, Major General Mikhail Evgenyevich Gudkov.
Садитесь, пожалуйста. Он командует
He commands the 155th Marine Brigade of the Pacific Fleet.
Тихоокеанского флота.
Oh, Vladivostok?
In my opinion, this brigade is one of the best in the armed forces.
И по мнению министра обороны, начальника генерального,
According to the Minister of Defense and the Chief of the General Staff, the achievements of Major General Gudkov should be replicated in other units of the armed forces, and above all, of course, in Marine units, which, as a whole, are fighting excellently.
отлично. Отлично, могу сказать.
Excellently, I can say. You see, without any exaggeration, they belong to the elite of the armed forces, just like paratroopers and special forces.
Должен отметить, что вот сегодня,
However, I must note that today, just before coming here, I listened to another report from the Chief of the General Staff, and other units of the armed forces have also gained very good momentum.
что касается морской пехоты, я уже сказал,
As for the Marines, as I already said, they are fighting excellently.
министр и начальник генштаба считают, что ваше
And since the Minister and the Chief of the General Staff believe that your experience should be replicated in other units, I have made the decision to transfer you to another position and increase your level of responsibility.
вы назначаетесь заместителем
You are appointed Deputy Commander of the Naval Forces of the Russian Federation.
Российской Федерации.
Damn, he got promoted on the spot. He got promoted on the spot by Vladimir Putin for his job well done. What a great way to get such a thing. But anyway, let's talk about other parts of the front, okay? So, we covered the Kharkiv region. We talked about Liman front. Russians are making steady progress here. Let's now talk about the situation in the Pokrovsk direction. Or should I say, Dnipropetrovsk direction. Okay. First of all, the Ukrainians have been continuing their endless counterattacks in this area. And as far as I can see, they appear to have achieved a good amount of success in the village of Kotline, even though the railroad and TO-406 road is still under Russian control. Udachne is under Ukrainian control, though there are reports Russians are trying to contest for the village again. And by the way, this is like basically the last major village before you enter Dnipropetrovsk, at least here in this direction. And then going a little further south, the Ukrainians have attempted a counteroffensive to retake the village of Solone, and so far they have captured a good chunk of it, even though it still remains to be seen if they'll recapture it or not. And then going a little further south here, Russians are attempting to advance, I guess, towards the village of Novu Alexandrivka. And then Russians are also reportedly have resumed their offensive towards Dnipropetrovsk region by advancing like south of Nadivka here, and are trying to take the village of let's see, what is it called? Kotlarivka. And also they are looking to encircle the village of Preobrazinka. And they are also trying to clear the farmlands like between this area here and Andrivka down here. And also the Russians have reportedly started contesting for the village of Rozliv. And then you go a little further south again. Russians have also cleared even more farmlands north of the village of Rozdolne. And then they are also beginning to advance once more in the Velika Novosilka direction, which also leads towards Dnipropetrovsk region as well. Russians are also reversing the last of the 2023 counteroffensive gains made by the AFU by taking the villages of Stepove, Lobkove, Mali, Sherbaki, and Sherbaki, like proper. And with that, yeah, that's currently the front as of today. Russians are also beginning to advance in areas outside of Toretsk too. They took the village of Alexandropol and also Pantymonivka, and are also advancing here in this direction as well. I think they're trying to clear all these areas like just south of Konstantinivka before they do a proper assault on it, but they can't really do anything until they take the entire city of Toretsk. But once they're able to do this, then Konstantinivka is busted wide open for the Russians. Now, for some weird reason, the Ukraine fanboys are wowing about the situation in the Belgrade region. But I don't honestly see a reason to care, to be honest with all of you. Because here's the problem. This move by the Ukrainians here is very predictable. And I don't think they have enough troops to do an operation here this time. And all they're really doing is causing more Russian troops to go deeper into Sumy. I mean, wasn't the goal of the Kursk operation to prevent an incursion into Sumy again by the Russian armed forces? Seriously, all they're doing is like basically poking the bear here. And it's not going to end well for them. Like, if they try to dig deeper into Belgrade, Russians are just going to keep pushing them back into Sumy, and then to the point where they will actually push into Sumy from this direction here. So, I believe that everything outside of this forest will be a target for a small-scale Russian offensive in the Sumy region. As I said, around like 10 to 15% of it, or 20% at the max. But definitely not like the whole Sumy region will be a target for Russia. Just a small portion of it. But definitely bigger than what they tried to do in Kharkiv region, without a shadow of a doubt. So, yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to end it here. Because why not? So, yeah, folks. I hope all of you found the stream informative, but also sort of like entertaining to a degree. And I guess I'll see you all in the next video, which will be coming in a couple days. So I hope everybody here has a great day, and I will see you all next time. Karama signing out. Have a great day. Peace out.